Hello, my name is Kat. Welcome to my channel. Today we have a wrap up and we also checking my bingo cards. Hello, how are you doing today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. So today's video, we're going to just revisit what I read during the month of September, and we're also going to check what is going on with my bingo cards, because the next 3 months I'm planning to do a actual TBR for each month. So I need to see what's going on with these bingo cards and how I'm gonna put them together and all of it. And we're also trying a different background right now. I'm just using this background to see if eventually for my TBR game it's gonna be easier for me to film, because I have to move too much to grab the books that I'm planning to fit on the prompts. So I think I'm just testing this area to make the videos, if you wonder. Anyways, so I ended up doing 3 audios and 2 physicals. I was planning to get more physicals, but I ended up having like a slump situation with one of the books, and I didn't know what to do, and kind of like I will let you know while we keep revisiting the books. But let's just dive in. We're going to start with the 3 audios, and then we're going to jump to the physicals, and then we're going to just check quick what's going on with the bingo cards. So the first audio that I have is Autumn, and it's by Ali Smith, and this one is a fiction, contemporary, and is a small novella. It's about maybe 4 or 5 hours audio, and I've been doing this lately. I like to grab like a small novellas for the season, either for autumn, for winter. I did that last year, and I kind of like the idea to just grab a couple of short novellas and listen to them to put me in the mood of the holidays, the mood on the autumn season, the fall season, and the mood on the winter season. And I think I'm gonna keep doing that for the other seasons too. So I did choose this novella, obviously because the title is Autumn, and actually the author has like a series of books on this seasonal theme. She has winter, spring, and summer, and this one is the first one in the series. So it's about this girl that she is living in a small neighborhood. She has to make a project for the school, and she has to talk to one of her neighbors. And because of that, she ended up having a connection with a neighbor that she is an old man. They seem to have a lot of things to talk about. They like to talk about art. They like to talk about books. They like to talk about a lot of things. So they kind of have a connection, and the girl eventually grows and move out from the town, but from the neighborhood. But somehow she ended up finding this old man, and this old man needs some kind of help. So we see the perspective of this neighbor from one point, and then we see the perspective of this girl too. I I don't know what I can say about this. I didn't really like it too much. I couldn't find the connection with the characters. I couldn't have empathy for any of them, even if the intention was to have a lot of empathy for them. I couldn't. Something in the relationship I didn't click for me. I didn't like it, and also I don't think I like too much the style of the writing. That's why probably I wasn't really having too much fun listening to it. So at the end, I would say I didn't like it. It was not too much for me. The story is supposed to be very emotional. It's grabbing themes of nostalgia, a family, connection between people, and all of that. That's the reason I guess she chose to write this story and put this title to the story. But it didn't work too much for me. In Goodreads has like 75, 600 ratings, and it has a kind of high rating. It's 3.5 rating, so means a lot of people like it maybe a little better than me, but not that much. They didn't get there to the four star rating, I guess. So that was my first audio. Then let's move on to my second audio. That it was the Sundown Motel. This one is a mystery kind of thriller, I think it is. Yeah, it's a mystery thriller fiction, a little bit in the paranormal area. And this book, actually, I have a good time listening to it. It's set in the 80s, but also is set in the present time. It's about this girl that she is trying to find what happened with her aunt. Her aunt used to work in a motel, and this motel was a little strange, and she ended up tracking her there and ended up working in the same motel and finding some secrets about the place and about the people who used to work there, who used to be around there. It was some murder cases, like in a cold cases, and seems like the aunt used to somehow was involved or had some knowledge about it. So it was a lot of mystery. At the same time, it has some elements that they were fantastical elements, like these paranormal elements that you cannot tell if it's going to be really something like a ghost going on there, or it's just the imagination of the person, of the character that is in the place. So that was very interesting. The resolution of the story, I kind of expected at the end. Maybe no. It was not that satisfying for me, but the whole story itself, it was interesting to go with the character and trying to figure out what happened with her aunt. So it was fine. I think I would recommend that if you like mystery thrillers. Like I always said, I think some things works better like if you listen them to if you read them. And I think this one it will work both ways. I ended up doing it in an audio version, and it has like 161,000 rating. People who actually read this book, so it's been read a lot according to Goodreads. We can check at different platforms. It may have the same amount, and it has 4 stars on Goodreads. Mine, I would say I will give it like 3.5, not too much like a 4, because the end that it wasn't too satisfying for me. But overall, I think it was a good uh, mystery to listen, in my personal opinion. So let's move on to the next audio that I choose this for the same reason I choose autumn, to trying to find an audio that is more seasonal and is more related to the fall and is more related to the spooky season, because we are getting into what is Halloween. So I'm already in October when I'm doing this video, so we're already in the Halloween month, and I was trying to get in that mood in September. So I ended up reading or listening guide book to murder. Is that classical mystery, a small town where some kind of murder happened. It's about this lawyer that she moves to this town. It's a small town, and she has a friend, and she owns a library. Not a library, a bookstore. And she starts connecting with the people in the town, and a murder happened, and somehow she gets involved in this murder, and she's trying to figure it out, what happened. And also she met a new guy, where it's gonna be some kind of romance. It wasn't too much on your face. Sometimes it was a little corny, I will say sometimes, but it wasn't too much of it, so I was fine with it. The mystery was actually interesting. It kept you intrigued. You trying to figure it out, who's the person who is behind the crime. And overall, I did enjoy it. It's that classical cozy mystery that is gonna put you in the holiday, like in the fall season mood, and a small town. I think it worked perfect for me. This one has, let me see, according to Goodreads, just to give you an idea, it's not it has like 7,226 people read this book, and it has like a average 3.88 points or like stars. I will give it like 3.52 if I have to rate it. I did like it. Uh, the mystery, it was fine. The resolution of the mystery, you kind of, and that's the thing on this cozy mystery, you kind of know who is the guilty, like who commit the crime, but you're just interested about the drama between the characters. That's what it's keep you in the story. And also is if you have some intrigues, like some little things that you need to find out together with the characters, that's what you keep you. So it was fine, but the resolution of the book, I think it was fine. Yeah, I did like this one. I think way more better than autumn audio. So those are my three audios. Let's move on to my physicals. So I ended up reading another story of Sherlock Holmes on this version, this book. It was the name. Of course, I'm gonna forget the title now. Why I have this thing in front of me, right? So the Sign of Four. So it's the second novel in the Sherlock Holmes stories. I really wasn't planning to read this one. I ended up reading it because the people in my book club has this version of the book, and on this one you have the uh, Student Escarlat. That's the title of this book. I keep making a mistake with this title for some reason. I don't know why it kept happening. I studied in Escarlat. It was the first novel, and also has the second novel that it was the Sign of the Four. That is the second novel, and they read it, so I ended up reading the second book, but in the English version. This one, I will have to say, is way more better than the first novel of Sherlock Holmes. It's about this girl that she's trying to figure out what happened with her father, and some people is involved, and people with money, and seems like a treasure is disappear in the story. So it was very interesting. I can say that in this case the author was a little more sure what he was trying to do with his stories about Sherlock. The style, it was a little more clear. So I will say, if you want to read a Sherlock Holmes in order, is fine, but the first book is not gonna keep you too much intrigue like this one. This one, I think, is a better option if you want to start reading the Sherlock Holmes stories, because you still have Sherlock and Watson trying to get to know each other, and making that connection between them, like getting very familiar with each other and becoming the friends that they became in our knowledge about the stories. And on this one, I think is more clear, and it's more clear the style of the author about the Sherlock Holmes stories, and also the characters, they are more clear on their personalities and all of it. And the story itself is a little more interesting than the first one, I think, because in the first one I have some issues that I couldn't get to like it as much as I wanted, but this one I think is a little better. So that's the reason I read the second one, and it was again a short novella on from Sherlock Holmes. And then we moving on to my second physical book that I read. It was The Return of the King. I finished the trilogy, or in this case, we finished the um, Lord of the Ring book, the third part. So this one, it took me a little longer than I expected to finish. Not because I didn't like it, I actually like it. I think this one more than the other two. I think my favorite is this one compared to the other two. Maybe second Fellowship of the Ring, and the third place will be the Two Towers. If we're gonna put it in which one I like the most, I think this one I like the most of all of it. And it took me long, not because I didn't like it, it's just because I was annotating a lot, and I was rereading some paragraphs, and it's not that short, anyways. And also, I was reading the um, I forgot the word. The appendices of the story. Some appendices, I think they're more important than other ones. If you actually want to read this one and all the appendices, I think you can pick and choose which appendices you wanna read the most. I think the first two appendices are more important than the rest, because the other ones, they just give you kind of like at dates, what happened in each chronological event. Then it gives you some writing and spelling, how you're supposed to write some words, why it came out with this story. So it's interesting, but about the characters, about the story itself, I think the first and the second appendices is the one that give you the most information. The last ones are more random, and all of them, they're very interesting, but I think the first and the second one is the one that give you the more information about the story. The last one is about the language and the people in the third age, so that one gives you some more insights about the characters and about the stories. And that's why I think it took me a little longer than I was expecting to finish this book, but I was so happy that I finished. I can now say that I read The Lord of the Rings, the whole three. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do a reread on audio version, and then probably I will come back and reread in Spanish, or maybe I will reread, I don't know. That is gonna happen for sure, because I really like the story and the world building in these novels. And that was my um, number five book in September. Then I was planning to finish Ink Blood Sister Scribe. So this one I read maybe 100 pages. It was fine. The world building is interesting. It's about these two sisters that they have some connections with some magical books. These books, they are written by blood for some special person, and some people is able to figure out which books are magical, and these two sisters, somehow they are part of this. And the father died, and now the two sisters, they're supposed to kind of see each other and figure out what to do, how to keep the small library that they have, and see what is their role in this story. So until the 100 page, it was kind of like giving you introduction about the characters, about what they can do, and why they are important in the story. Then I started getting a little bored, and I was like, I feel like I'm not reading, and maybe it was the pressure that it was coming the end of the month, and I need to add a little more books because I want to get, like, in the next 3 months a nice TBRs and be able to read more and all of it. I don't know, but I started skimming the book until they had maybe 200 pages. When I was doing that, I wasn't trying, but at the end I was doing it. And when I get to the 200 pages, not much changed in the story. Everything seems the same, like I left it in the 100 without rushing it. And 200, okay, I'm getting a little more information. It's getting again a little interesting to figure it out what's going on with these characters and what they're gonna do, how they're gonna resolve whatever problem seems that they are having, because seems that somebody's chasing them and they are in danger because they have these abilities to write the books, or they are able to figure out which books are with magic. So they're trying to figure out how to resolve that. But then again, put me like, okay, now keep moving. So my conclusion is, I didn't finish. The magical system seems very interesting, but I feel like the uh, using too many pages for no reason. I think it could be a little shorter, and we get to the same point. Like I said, from 100 to 100, we're still having, like, seems like not much happened, and it keep me dragged down. Like, so I couldn't finish. I couldn't even move to the 250. I'm in the page 244 right now. and it's a little long, and it's like a 300, 400, wait, 400 something pages, about 410 pages. So at the end, I couldn't read too much, put me in a slump. I was reading maybe again 5 pages a day. I don't have the excuse anymore that I'm tired and I don't have the time to read. I just wasn't feeling it to pick it up, and every time I pick it up, I read a couple pages, and it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Maybe it's not the book. Maybe it's me that I was not in a place to read. I don't know. Something happened, but I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna try to pick up anyways 4 pages while I'm doing the next 3 months. But it's going. I feel that it's gonna happen the same what happened with Jacqueline in Paris. That it's gonna stay holding there. So we're gonna decide later what we're gonna do. I'm gonna keep trying to finish it. I'm already halfway. I don't like to DNF books. I'm gonna try to keep going at a couple pages, some here and there, to see if I can get through the whole book eventually. But it put me in a slump, so I said it's better just stop. Anyways, the next month is starting, and I have planned already to have a big TBR, and I'm planning to get through all of these books, hopefully. And we'll see. So anyways, that's all I read so far. Highly recommended Lord of the Rings. You want to read Sherlock Holmes, don't start with the Studio in Escarlat. I can never remember the name of this book. I study in Escarlat. um, don't start with that one. Maybe start with the second one, and probably even with a short story if you want to get interesting about Sherlock Holmes stories. And audios, the only one that I really liked a lot, it was the Sundown Motel, and the other two, it was okay. So I think it's already too long. Let's move on to what I'm supposed to be telling you right now. We're gonna try to do this quick. So the first bingo card that I have is historical fiction. For this one, we're gonna add two more stamps. One is the one with the lessons of chemistry that is set in the 60s, that we kind of we decided that we're gonna move like switch the months, and we ended up reading the 60s in August. And September we read the Sunrise Motels, the Sundown Motel, that is set in the 80s. Like I said, it's set in the 80s because the aunt is from the 80s, and the girl that is trying to figure out what's going on with the aunt is from the present time. So we have few stamps there. Then we move on to the author reading challenge. I didn't have no progress. I was planning to read a couple books, but like I said, ended up in a slump and I couldn't move on. A special reading challenge, that is the thrillers, mysteries, horror stories. I didn't pick up any book in specific for this one. If we want to put one, we're going to probably put the cozy mystery, that it was the guidebook to murder. So we can add that one for the cozy mystery, but I didn't pick up any intentional for the for the bingo card, but we can count it like we add at least one more stamp on this one. Long-term projects, reading books in translation and books set in a different country. No progress on that one. We're having a big failure on this particular one. Well, we're not going to talk about that. Let's move on to the next one. And that one is my talking bingo card that, like I said, I'm going to keep going every year to see how much progress I have. So now we have the three books from the trilogy, or the three parts from Lord of the Rings, done. So that's nice. And then we're moving on to the bingo card, that I have some prompts that I pick up every 3 months, and I have to read these books in the last of these 3 months. For that, we have it, the Gentleman in Paris, that it was, I was like dragging it from before. So it was like left over from the past time, and I ended up finishing it, and I did love it. So that is going to read books set in a different time. Then we have a book that is Book of the Month book. That was my pick, the In Scribes blog, In Blood Sister Scribes. That is gonna be there pending because I didn't finish it, and I don't know if I'm gonna end up DNFing these things. We're gonna talk about that and maybe in a future video with all those books that I'm having then hanging. And then I choose the Maximiliano Barrientos, Una Casa en Llamas. This story, it was supposed to be a book set in a different country. I choose this one that is an author from Bolivia because mostly I read books that they are from American authors or from British authors, and I'm living right now in the United States, so I decided to pick a book that is from my original home home, and I ended up not reading it because I get in the slump, and it's sad because this one, it was a very short story. That's the reason I actually picked it up, because I was thinking I would be able to at least accomplish this one. I didn't. I'm planning to move it to my next three, like keep it there so I can finish in the lapse of these 3 months, including my with my TBR game that is going on. So it's a lot of books that I'm planning to read. I don't know if I'm gonna be able, but that's what's going to be. And now I forgot I supposed to do this. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm back. I kind of forgot that I have to pick up 2 more prompts for the next 3 months. So these next 3 months are going to be crazy. I have the TBR games. I have the books that I'm dragging now, like these 2 books that I'm dragging for the next 3 months. And we also have to pick up 2 more prompts for my bingo cards and see if we're gonna have a little more luck these 3 months to read more books. Well, we'll check it out at the end of the year how my bingo card is done or finished or whatever progress I have. So I forgot to even put the camera so you can see. You're gonna have just to trust me if you cannot actually see it there. But we're gonna pick up 2 more, okay? For this bingo cards. So this one, Netflix. I don't know. Maybe if I put, I don't know how we can do this. No, I don't know. Maybe like this. You can see it. So Netflix. Anyways, there. This is a book that is being adapted in a movie or TV show and is showing in Netflix. You know, Netflix has a lot of adaptations, so we're gonna end up looking for a book that is being adapted and is from a Netflix adaptation. That's kind of self-explanatory. I don't know which one it's gonna be because I have to go and browse around the Netflix website to see what adaptations they have and see if I have one of those books in my own library. That would be great too. So now let's pick out the second prompt. This one. Oh no. I saw it and I don't know. Book read. I did this one because I used to. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can see it. So, Book Riot, they have challenge. Um, yeah, they have a challenge thing in their website, in their app, or wherever. If it's a website or it's a website that they got information about books, some trivia about books, some stuff about reading and all of it, and they have a challenge there. So we're gonna end up choosing one of the challenges. I don't remember if it was set by months or by it was just a whole list and not a specific month for each one. We're gonna choose one of their challenges and or one of their prompts from that challenge and pick a book from it. So that will be an update whenever we're doing the checkup of my bingo cards in the next at the end of the year. I have to once again browse around, see what they said, what I have in my own library, and see if I can actually read some of my own books to fit those prompts. And I have two books that they are moving on with these two the next month. Hopefully we can finish in Blood Sister. Like I said, it sounds interesting. The magical system is interesting, but something is happening that I cannot read it. It's not catching me. It's not getting me interesting enough to keep reading, but we'll see what's going to happen. So that's all for this wrap up. I think ended up being a long wrap up, but once again, if you like the video, thumbs up. If you want to know if I post another video, ring the campanita. And thank you for watching. Bye.